Elif, I'm a father of two beautiful daughters, and I often say that my most important job is to be the best father that I can to them. I know that you have had a very powerful and influential father in your own life. So, can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with your dad and how he has helped to shape you into the woman you are today?
First of all, I just want to say God bless Nick. It's a very blessing job to be a father. It's upon you and your family. I am my dad's only daughter. I have two other brothers. And the way my dad raised us was very differently. He is a very traditional man. And I believe it had a very good impact on me growing up. When a father has a strong backbone in his family and he has his rules, and it's a fine line between discipline and nurture, it creates very confident children. So I've seen this pattern. I grew up in the West. I've seen this pattern that many, especially girls that didn't have a father figure, maybe daddy left or has a toxic relationship with their fathers, are much more likely to have a very promiscuous lifestyle, would try much harder to get validation from men from a very young age. And I can see already now in the new generation that we're living in that the small girls are starting from a younger age than our age again. For me and people like in my class, many girls were starting to get into stuff like that when they were around 15, 16. But I'm scared that today's TikTok iPad kids are starting around 11 and 12. And I think that is a huge issue. But for me, how my the way my dad raised me was I have a lot of respect for good men. I believe in that wife should submit to husband and follow his lead, but he should be a full-blown leader first. It should come from me naturally. So I don't do it on command. It's like a fine line between a typical biblical submission and a modern lifestyle where the man has to give me the ground that I can he has to lead the ground that I'm supposed to walk on, if that makes sense. And that comes because I have witnessed real masculinity. I have witnessed a real full-blown grown man. This man has witnessed so much in his life, and no matter what he went through, he never took it out on his family. So all the pain and suffering that he has seen, he has witnessed communism and stuff like that, but he was always really lovely and caring with his kids. So now I have this vision that a man should go through hardships in his life to build a strong character and discipline, but it should never affect his wife and kids, especially in an emotional way. I didn't know about my dad's past life before I was in my late teens. He didn't tell me. Or if he told me, it was more like, you should be grateful for X, Y, and Z, because when I was a kid, this and this and this and this. But he never told me very detailed, um, heavy stories. Some other things that I realized that my dad has taught me is mindset and mentality. So I mentioned earlier that he raised me and my brothers a little bit differently, but we had also at the same time a very similar childhood, especially me and my older brother is only 1 year between us.
Mhm.
We grew up a little bit like twins, if I can say it like that. We had to do this different chores. For example, my brothers, he had to carry bags, help my dad fixing the car, picking me, driving me, and stuff like that. When I was more in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, and stuff like that. But the mindset was the exact same. My dad
Mm.
always, if someone treats you badly, you should never bend your head like a rose. Always stick your ground and stick to your truth. So I was taught this even as a girl. That's also one of the reasons I have the personality that I have today. Many people call me very headstrong, but I was raised that way. I was raised that if you believe in something and you believe that that is the right thing from the bottom of your heart, you should stick through it. You should be loyal to yourself. You should respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, nobody will. If you don't honor honesty, you won't be around people that honor honesty either, because you attract what you are. If you are a good, headstrong person, you will also attract other people that are aligned in that frequency. Some other things my dad taught me was, you know, I believe every pretty girl gets a little bit bullied in high school and mid school and stuff like that. And that used to affect me a lot when I was a teen. I was like, I don't know why these girls are being so mean to me, because I used to be such like a kind-hearted, naive person. Like I'm not the same person that I used to be when I was a teenager. I was much more softer, much more sweeter, if I can put it like that. And my dad said, every single one that hates on you are jealous of you. You
Yeah.
either have something that they don't, or you're reminding them of something that they hate about themselves. But either way, they are in some way fascinated by you. And that is so deeply programmed in my mind to this day. It's like one of the base foundations to the way I view life, that every single person, no matter if you're a man or a woman, girl or boy, if you hate on me, I think you like me. It's a little bit biased, a little bit toxic. And I know I probably have some people on X ranting at me now, like, oh no, I actually hate you. I'm like, nah, I know.
This is really good. This is making me think because so as a man, I am more focused on the masculine side of things, right? How to become more masculine, how to hold my frame and, be proud of the person that I am. And you're making me think in a whole new way of what it's like for a female. And this is really important to me. This we're going to get some real live coaching on how to be a good father here because both from your father and from your own experience, because that's what I want my daughters to learn and understand and embody in this lifetime is being confident, as you said, to be able to respect themselves enough to not allow people to bully them or to push them around or to tell them what to do. But that can become toxic to a certain point. And I'm sure you'd agree with this. I heard this in part of your explanation that you do have to learn how to be feminine and submit and follow a man eventually in some sort of relationship, but not just any man. You have to, as you said, he's got to be a strong framed leader, and those are rare and hard to find, but they do exist. I strive to be one myself. I know a few in my life, but there's a very small percentage, especially in the West, of men that live up to that. A phrase that I've said before to Greg, and we'll definitely talk about Greg Lunt on here because he's the one that connected us in the
Of
first
course.
place.
I'm talking
uh, he'll talk about in the West, people will say happy wife, happy life, and he likes to flip that on its head and say happy king, happy kingdom, which I agree with and I love, with the with the caveat of, if you want to be happy king, happy kingdom, you got to be a king. And there's too many guys that are boys that are hoping that they can be a happy king, happy kingdom, but you got to be a king to be able to command that kind of respect. So from that point of view, we're going to touch on this and we're going to then lean a little bit more into the feminine side. to you, it sounds like your father was a king, and your brothers hopefully were trained up princes to become kings, and you have a few in your life. What is your um, definition of a true king and a man in the modern world?
That is a very good question. Um, First of all, I believe that a king is a responsible person. It's a huge responsibility to be a king.
Yes.
You have so many things that needs to be taken care of. You must be trustworthy. Your kingdom, aka your family, your friends, your circle, your business, people must be in a position where they trust your lead. Every king, if you look at history, that was not liked by his kingdom
Yeah.
got killed. No questions asked. Doesn't matter if it was in the Hun Empire, Ottoman Empire, Roman Empire, whatever empire it was, every single emperor slash king or sultan or even pharaoh, Tutankhamun, like you will get your ass out of the market. You must be a trustworthy person. You must have a strong character. You must be respectable. And is many ways that a man can gain this type of respect. So we have biological factors like, you know, typical stereotypical big man, big muscles, confidence. Also, I would say financial stability is a very big factor. So he is actually in a position where he can provide for his family. Also, values.
Mm.
This is something many people don't talk about, but if you look at history, kings that live up to the values of their kingdom was the ones that were most respected. If you have your base fundamental values in stock, your pyramid will be easily built. Because I
Mm.
remember I've been in spaces where I asked this question one time to this one person. I said, but what is your values? What is your most important values that you would never ever adjust for? And he was so quiet. He was like, I don't know. And I was like, you cannot expect, forget relationship, forget marriage. How can you even be friends with someone on a deeper surface level with mutual understanding and respect if you don't have the same base values? This part is so important. So, for example, one of my base values is um, honesty. I don't
Yes.
mess around with people that lies. I don't care if you lie to make money or if you lie to your family or friends. I am not about that. I genuinely do not respect liars at all. If you're absolutely going to lie, it should be like for the better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But platonic liars just to seem cool or whatever absolutely disgust me. And hypocritical tendencies. Um, Also, I'm a very confident person myself, so I highly value a confident person myself. All of my friends, not that I have like too many friends, but the friends that I have, all of them are confident. That's because some people, so how do I put this? If you're a very confident person, it's very difficult to be friends with a non-confident person. And
Absolutely.
the reason for that is many, but the one that I would like to mention is that envy will be a huge factor because a
Mm.
confident person is a go getter. You have trust in yourself. Yes, you're going to ask that person X, Y, and Z to help you to do that and that thing. You're confident enough to go and be an entrepreneur. You're confident enough to take steps forward. And people will always respect confident people because they dominate. They genuinely dominate the environment they walk in. Some do it purposely, some do it consciously or subconsciously. Sometimes you just have that magnetic energy about you and you don't even know why. But at the end of the day, confidence, loyalty, trustworthiness, and financial stability is four things that
Mm.
is an absolute. I would never ever try.
Compromise.
Yeah, I would never compromise these ever.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, to me, all of those do come down to your ability to trust somebody, right? Your ability to know that they are speaking the truth, they say what they mean, and it all also can be rooted in something you brought up, which is responsibility, right? If you're going to be a king, you are going to take on responsibility. This is something I didn't realize, I wasn't taught as a child, and really I came across it from Jordan Peterson, and it totally changed my world. In that he was saying, if his whole message is, if you want your life to be meaningful, you have to take on responsibility. It's like this isn't really preached in our culture, especially to young men. The idea is like to be comfortable and be true to yourself and don't stress yourself out too much or whatever. Like, no, life is fucking hard. Life is stressful, and if you take the short road, you take the easy route, you're going to end up suffering down the road because you have no meaning in your life. You have no purpose. You have no reason to get out of bed in the morning. And when I personally flip that on my head of like, where can I take on more responsibility and actually drive myself to be able to bear that weight, right? And be proud of the work that I'm doing, be proud of the way that I'm showing up for my daughters, for my family, for my friend. It completely flipped my life around. So I would like to pose that same question to you from the feminine side. What do you feel as a woman that you as the responsibility you want to take on in this lifetime and is most meaningful to you?
That is also a really good question. And I'm very happy you asked because it's so easy to, I feel like us women, we have this tendency to always talk about, feminist or not, always talk about how a man should be like, but they get so quickly defensive when someone says how a woman should be like.
Yes.
And I am more than likely to take that responsibility and take one for the team and say that. So I believe women, we are built different than men. We are spiritual beings. I see womanhood and femininity like a battery, like a charger. So, what do I mean by that? When the man, I'm speaking very, very on the edge right now to just prove my point.
Hmm.
But imagine, so men, quote, supposed to go to war, they go out and face a lot of trauma, right? Hunting, wars, work, all the crazy stuff that quote men used to do, at least. Us women that were inside the house, we have all this spiritual healing energy. We have the energy to make any man that is very hurt, very angry, very upset, and balance out his emotions and turn it into a positive energy.
100%.
We can charge any man physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We even charge each other as women. Why do we talk so much to each other? Right?
Yeah.
Talk so much. And so I believe men should provide financially and physically, and women should provide emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically as well too.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. And, and I also believe that men bring in the groceries and women brings the meal to the table.
Love it. Love it.
I believe men brings the comfort in the house. He gives the house and she gives it the interior.
Mm,
It's a balanced thing.
yeah.
I, I believe that women should be a little bit more emotionally patient with if their man is having outbursts and stuff like that. First of all, I believe in emotional control. People shouldn't get this twisted. Absolutely emotional control. But if you have been raised around men, which I have because I have only brothers and my dad, testosterone is testosterone. The outbursts, they will come out. The aggression, it will come out. Like my brothers freaking wrestling bears in my house. It is
Hold on,
nothing.
hold on. Literally?
Yeah,
Oh my
like,
god.
like they're crazy,
Yeah.
huge. They're also very physically big guys.
Yes.
I don't know what it is in feet, but my older brother is 196 meters.
Oof,
Also
yeah.
a lot of muscles, and the youngest
Big
one,
guy.
he's yeah, and the youngest one, he's only 14, but he is 183 and he's just 14. So he probably will even take over for my brother. I'm the oldest
Hmm.
one. So very big guys. They also used to wrestle me a lot too. I wasn't excused from that bear show, but
I love to hear that because I wrestle with my daughters all the time too. And I think that's a really important part of our
yeah,
relationship. And I like to sort of push it to the point of where they're a little bit like, Daddy, I'm scared. And I'll coach them through it like, you're good. Because, and I think there's a lot to say about this. Again, Jordan Peterson talks about this. One of the best signs of a one statistically, the best sign for a girl to not be raped or sexually violated is if she had older brothers.
exactly.
And yeah, and the piece of that is that she's feeling physical men, you know, wrestling with her, holding her and all that, and she's getting comfortable with that so that if anything ever gets to that in her personal life with a stranger, with a man, it's not foreign to her. For the first time, she knows how to push back, she knows how to stand her ground. And that's something that I'm really glad to hear that you've had that relationship with your dad and your brothers, because I always am roughhousing with my girls and pushing the edge. And it's very affirming for me. Thank you.
You absolutely should, no matter what. You should teach your girlies self-defense and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was taught a lot. I even had periods I went walking around with pepper spray. That's yeah, maybe shouldn't say that, but I did. Um, and I feel like women that was raised with men is very different from women that was raised with only girls.
Hmm.
And vice versa. I also feel like men that was raised with only brothers is also different from guys that was only raised with sisters, or vice versa, or a
Yeah,
mix.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but when you mentioned the thing with rape, I believe it's different factors on why women with brothers are less likely to get raped. I believe, first of all, so you get raised so differently when you have brothers. It's so different. It also depends on your culture, but if you're raised in a culture like mine, where men are masculine and traditional and they're supposed to be strong and do all that, it's very meant it's strictly rules. No boys, you don't dress like that, you don't do stuff like that, you don't do XYZ. Mm-mm-mm. And I was also, since it's almost no age difference between me and my brother, we were also in the same circle. So everybody knew my brother. Everyone knew my brother, and he was objectively one of the bigger guys too. You know, he was one of the big guys in the gym. He was one of the big guys in high school. So he was a very respected person in every community he was in. He's also a gentleman. He's a lawyer now. He has his things put together. God bless. Um, but I remember when I was a teen, no guys would ever mess with me, ever. I have personally never had very bad experiences with the opposite gender. Like when I hear other girls speaking about, you know, how men treated them and stuff like that, I'm like, because that never happened to me.
Mhm.
And I'm not thinking that I'm just a better woman or anything like that, but I do think it comes from the perspective of I talk to men in a very different manner because I learned from a very young age that men will like to take advantage of you when you are a pretty girl. And when you're raised with a father figure that loves you so deeply and you know he loves you because he treats you like his princess, you don't even seek for the validation either. So you
Mm,
get this very typical resting bee face attitude. Like, why are you even talking to me right now? Like,
yeah.
what is your intentions? What is this conversation going? I had that attitude all my life. Um, and that comes from both my brothers and my dad. And that I believe I actually overheard my dad talk about this last Saturday. We had visitors over, old friends of my father, and I was serving them tea and cake. I did a lot of preparations with food,
Hmm.
baked a lot, cooked a lot, and I didn't say anything. It was more like, "Hey, uncle, welcome, have a seat," and they're just speaking between them, and I just go back and forth with tea and stuff like that. And I was in the kitchen doing the dishes, and I overheard one of my dad's friends be like, "How old is Elif now?" And he was like, "Yeah, she's 22." And he was like, "Ah, my son is only 19." And they started to laugh and joke about it. I was like, "Oh, she will have the perfect daughter-in-law," and was like joking around with my father. And it was like, yeah. And they actually congratulated him. They were like, "You have done a good job.
Mm,
Your daughter is well put together, pretty smart and all that." And he was like, "Yeah." Like he took it. And I was like watching,
wow.
oh, that is so cute. Like acting like I'm not listening. I was
Yeah.
flattered. I was so flattered. Um, it gave me so much joy. And when they left, he we had like a moment, and he was hugging me so tightly, and he was like, "I love you, I care for you, like thank you so much. You make me so proud." And it really got into me because
Yeah.
maybe, holy shit. First of all, everything starts from the dad. If your daughter is the three
Hmm.
letter word, you know,
Yes.
it's your fault.
Mm,
I genuinely believe if your daughter is the H word, it is your fault as a father. Because when she get all the princess treatment all her life, oh, she doesn't carry her bags. She doesn't pay for anything. She gets picked up everywhere. She gets every dress she wants. Um, of course, it's not like it's one side. Like I also give in return, I also cook for them. I also do their laundry. I also sit there and listen. I give them a lot of emotional support as well. But when you get treated like that, you would never settle for less. So all the fuck boys
yeah.
running around thinking that they could ever have you for a weekend is never ever an option.
Mm,
Never ever. So the better you treat your girls, the better men she will attract.
yeah.
Always.
I love to hear that, Elif, because it's something. It's again a very affirming. I always think I'm the first man that's ever going to love my daughters, right? And everything that I do is setting the example for the relationship with men for the rest of their life. And so they are my little princesses. I love them unconditionally, and part of that unconditional love is having very high standards for them, academically, value wise, the way that they show up, the way that they greet people and strangers, the way that they act in public. And again, I said it's my most important job and I take it really seriously. And I just had a moment when you were sharing about overhearing your conversation with your dad. And it's like that is, you talk about, I'm very big on having North Stars, big goals for every, important thing in my life. It's a beautiful North Star for me is I hope that when my daughters are in their early 20s, I'm having a conversation with one of my good friends and they say that to me. They say, "Hey, you did a good job. She's well put together. She's strong. She's confident. She's feminine. Like you did it right." And that was such a cool moment for you to share, both for your father and for you personally. And it's going like in my journal, in my in my goals, in my North Stars for where I want to end up with my daughters as well.
That
I
is
wanted to go
yes.
ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that was so lovely, and also I feel like it's in the female nature to satisfy um their, like, the men in their lives, like brother, father, husband, son. That when my dad treats me so well, like he goes to the grocery store and he literally buys me something that he knows that I like every single time for 22 years. He's like,
Oh,
he knows I love like salt potato chips. Always, every single time, buys me one, or chocolate, or raspberries, or like this is small things like that.
yeah.
And always driving me everywhere, never second question that ever. I'd be like, oh, I want to bake my dad an apple cake now.
Yes.
I was I like, yeah. You, as a girl, you just want to do other stuff for them. Like suddenly, you just decided to vacuum clean his room. You just cleaned yours, and you're like, oh yeah, dad is out working now, so I might as well just do it. I have some extra 10 minutes. Because that's what happens. We want to make the man happy because
Yeah.
we have so much spiritual energy to give.
Yeah.
Also, I would just like to add before we go to the next question. I talked about spiritual healing energy. Keep this in mind. This is a man experienced, communism, and he's witnessed people getting killed and a lot of brutality. Um, but my dad is very grounded, very calm, patient man. But when he is angry, when he it's it's so freaking scary. Everyone is scared, but he never hit any one of us, or he was never violent. It's just
Yeah.
he is the bigger lion. We are just his
Yeah.
little lion cubs. he,
Mm.
he is the alpha lion. But I am the only one, like out of my siblings, that can calm down my father. So my brother would be like, dad, like, calm down. Never work. And I go up, I'm like, come here. And he's like, no, no. And he like lights up a cigarette. I'm like, come here. Looks at me. And I give him a hug. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. And after like the fifth second, he's like, then he hugs me back so tight,
Mm.
calms down. And a couple of seconds after that, he starts to smile and laugh. And that is the energy of a woman that loves you genuinely.
Yeah. It's so cool, Alif. We met at exactly the right time in my life. I'm 34 years old. And right now, for the first time, I actually have experienced that spiritual healing energy of a woman. For the first time in my life, I have a huge example of many, many relationships, a 10-year marriage where I didn't have that. And I always had dreamed of, it was all theoretical to me. I'd heard people talking about this, and I've actually experienced it in my latest relationship. So I can resonate so much with what you're talking about. I work now. I'm not in communism. I haven't gone to war, but I do work in construction with a lot of big men with big egos, a lot of
God,
testosterone.
yeah, God bless construction workers.
Thank you.
Much, much, much respect. We could never work in this society without you guys. God bless. Genuinely, a huge thank you to you and all the construction workers all over the world. Thank you so much. Genuinely.
Thank you. Yeah, in my particular field, I keep the lights on. I'm in electricity, like utility, big power electricity, right? So, again, I work with guys with big egos, a lot of testosterone, a lot of yelling and arguing and shit going on, and I'm actually in a leadership role for the first time in my life these last couple of years. What was that?
God bless.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So it can be intense. Now I'm kind of a smaller guy. I'm 150 pounds, 5'7". I'm a little dude, and I'm surrounded by a lot of big, overweight, burly, deep voice guys, right?
Yeah,
And
all white
I'm
Americans, of course. Because like I was like, construction workers over here are pretty fit.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're in America. The weight definitely doesn't help them to do their job very well. So I work some 16-hour days. I work through the night sometimes when we have power outages. It's a stressful job, and it's stressful both physically, but as I become more in a leadership role, it's stressful mentally and emotionally because I have to make decisions. I have to make calls that have a lot of consequences behind them, right? If I make the wrong decision, it means the power's out longer or some equipment might get compromised. Or if I'm not thinking straight, I might put somebody in a dangerous situation. So I have to really be locked in. I got to be caffeinated. I got to like have, my mindset straight. So it can be very stressful. Now, I've done this for most of my life without having a home with a feminine, spiritual, healing energy. And for the first time, I can go out kind of to war, kind of go out and to the hunt and deal with these men and deal with these difficult situations. And it's amazing how just coming home and having home cooked, delicious, healthy food on the table, a hug and a kiss, a feminine voice can like completely erase and heal that entire day of fucking struggle. And hear so much your example of you being the only one who can calm your dad down when he's in that super high testosterone fighting mode. I've actually felt it for the first time in my life these last couple of months. It's been this huge blessing, this huge thing that I didn't even know I was going to be able to experience in this lifetime. So I want to speak specifically now, as a guy who has never had a woman cook me homemade, delicious, healthy food. I'm finally experiencing it for the first time. It's changing my fucking life. It's amazing to know that I got that food on the table when I come home. I know cooking is a big part of your life and even your brand on X. Talk to me a little bit about what cooking means for you.
First of all, Greg, I'm so sorry, Nick. I'm so sorry. I first of all, Nick, I am so happy that you finally got to experience a woman's love and healing energy, and then nurture and the love that comes with the cooking part. Cooking, I had cooked all my life. It's actually a picture of me on X where I'm like 4 years old and I'm baking pita bread
I've
and I
seen
have
it.
like on the kitchen table. I love cooking. I do it with so much love and passion. That's also how I cope with things. So I cook on a good day, I cook on a bad day.
Mm,
I value cooking. How can I say it? I was low-key lucky by loving it so much. I don't see it as a duty. I see it more as something I enjoy. And I was so lucky that my hobby ended up being cooking. Of
mm,
course, I do Pilates and stuff like that. I'm really into a healthy lifestyle. So I do cook a lot of different dishes. And many people ask me, like, Elif, what is your favorite dish? You know what I answer every single time? Whatever dish that guys loves the most, and this is my parents and my dad, whatever dish they loves the most, that's my favorite. If they come up to be like, I want lamb chops, I that's my favorite. Lamb chop is my favorite too. I have low-key opinions about everything. I'm gonna be honest. I am a very opinionated woman. When it comes to my cooking, no opinions.
nice.
If you want salmon, salmon it is. I actually get so excited when some of the guys ask me, like, could you please cook this dish? I'm like, yeah, it's my pleasure to
Mm,
cook you that dish. It's my pleasure to bake you focaccia bread. It's my pleasure to, uh, I don't know, cook you meatballs. It's literally my biggest pleasure. I feel so good that you gave me this beautiful new high technology kitchen, groceries, and all that. Of course, I would give you a meal. Why do we even have this kitchen then? Right? Why do you even bother go to the butcher and like get fresh meat if I'm
yeah.
not supposed to give you a high quality dish? It's an exchange. It's a value exchange. It's like business.
Mm,
You do A business, they do B business, and they cooperate with each other. That's the beauty of it.
yeah.
And I also get praised for my cooking, in my household at least, and that's also why I love it so much. You know, the reaction on their faces. There was one time my little brother was outside, and my dad was like, come home. And he was like, oh, come on, I'm hanging out with my friends. And my dad was like, your sister cooked food. It's like, okay, I'm coming. Hesitate. He didn't even think for a second. Was like, he's like, okay, I'm coming. If sister cooks, I'm on my way right now.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's really beautiful because it sounds like it comes from such a place of passion for you, and a place of service too. And it's this really cool thing again in my life for the there was sort of a like resentment whenever a woman ever cooked for me. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and you can taste that shit you can taste the bad energy in the food. You know what I mean? And when something is really coming from love and a reciprocal, like you said, you provide this home, you provide the security, you provide the badass kitchen and the quality ingredients. I'm going to do I feel a responsibility to do this kitchen and these ingredients justice and create like to me, great cooking is art. It really is like a passionate art. And it's so cool to see that uh you've completely connected to that, and you get all the value out of the experience and the love of watching the reaction of your family eating your food, and they get to feel all the love and the enjoyment and the pleasure of eating the food at the same time. It's like a spiritual practice to me.
It is, because everything has energy. Like, you can never destroy energy. Everything has energy. When
Mm.
you do something with love and passion, you can feel it, you can sense it. For example, you're recommended to not eat junk food, right? But it's obviously many reasons for that. It's unhealthy for you. You don't know what's in it, but it's also the spiritual in it. The people
Mm.
that works there hate their jobs.
Yes.
You genuinely get that negativity in you. You do.
Mm.
You, like, for example, it's a trend going on social media where girls ask their dads to peel orange for them. I find that so funny because I always ask my dad to do that. But even before the trend, I'm a huge orange eater and say with fruit in general. But I just like it when my dad does it. I don't know why. It's just something different with it.
Uh-huh.
So no matter if it's a quince or watermelon or whatever, when my dad chops it, it just tastes better.
No.
And I think because he likes to do it. And I
Yeah.
saw these people asking their boyfriends, and there was this one guy ranting and saying, like, you can do it yourself. You're a grown-up woman. There's no need to do it. And she was so sad afterwards. That literally made me think, like, holy shit. Even if he peeled the orange after that little discussion they had, that orange would probably taste disgusting.
Yes. That's it. That's the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also received some very lovely comments on X when I post my food. It means the world to me, genuinely. Um, and one of them was like, I can really tell you do this with love and passion. And I was like, yeah, I really
Yeah.
do. I put my heart and soul into this. Even though I have other things going on in my life, but it's something so different with it. And I also believe that men are simple creatures. I feel in
Yes.
the women,
Mm.
especially, we overcomplicate things because we are much more complicated creatures. We have a more complicated, more complex brain. But men, they low-key just wants to feel appreciated, needed, and loved.
Yep.
Of course, dominant too. Like, they want to feel like a man. But those four things, and you have a happy man. Oh God, they're so simple. I made a tweet about this for a long time ago, and actually went a little bit viral. I didn't expect it because I posted a tweet right after the incident, or right after that happened. I remember so well. It was 0041 a.m. I was in the kitchen, and I think I was taking magnesium and stuff like that, my supplements, and my dad was like, he never calls me by my name, by the way. He always says princess, my daughter, my beautiful daughter, whatever. He was like, my daughter, could you please make me a sandwich? I'm so, like, I'm hungry, but I don't want to eat something. I was like, yes, of course. Never like second doubted it or gave any sort of attitude. Opened the fridge. I make him his favorite. He likes it with cheese and lettuce and paprika. And I made him a sandwich, put in some milk, gave it to him. And I made it pretty. I chopped it. And he was like, "Thank you so much, my beautiful daughter. I love you." And like he was so grateful. It took me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It took me 2 minutes. And
Yep.
he was so thankful. And I was like, men are so simple creatures.
We really
Man,
are.
so simple.
I need to underline that because I 100% agree. Appreciated, respected, and loved. That's what you hit, right?
Genuinely,
Yeah. That's
so
really all we're looking for. And I can, again, coming from a construction background, I talk with a lot of guys and a lot of unhappy marriages and a lot of unhappy relationships and a few in good relationships. I'm going to be a little vulgar, but make it even simpler. We just want to come home and not have it be a headache. We want peace at home. And that's tied into those three, into appreciation, respect, and love. We feel that and we come home and home is a sanctuary. Ding, you got it. Two, cooking. If there's food on the table, that you're now killing it as a woman. We are. That's all the fuel, as you said, all the spiritual fuel that we need to go out on the hunt and to dominate and to bring the money home and create the best life for you possible. And then three, of course, is sex. If we can get sanctuary at home, we can get good food and we can get sex, you're going to be above 99% of the women out there in the world. And if you find a king and you can give them those three things, you are going to have a kingdom. You're going to be a team, a power couple that can take over the fucking world. And I hear so much of that in everything that you're sharing.
I mean, of course. And I also believe that a king should be with a queen. And a
Yes.
queen has also responsibilities. That's where people get it twisted. You see now in modern day pop culture, it's like, queen, you're a queen, you're a queen, bro. How is that woman a queen? Or how is that man a king? You must have your shit straight. Queens, queens, they have it tough too. They have an image to protect.
Yes.
Yeah, you cannot be late.
Reputation.
Yeah, reputation is important. No promiscuity. I mean, of course, Cleopatra, she's something different, but I'm just speaking in general right now. If the queen did something that could affect the whole honor and pride to her name, she would get killed in many empires that
Mhm.
during history. And queens also cares about their looks. You cannot just give up on your beauty like that because us women, we're beautiful. Ugly women don't exist. The only women that are called ugly today is because they are lazy.
Mm.
Because you can always get some sort of, you can go from a 2 to at least 6 by starting taking care of yourself and hitting the gym. Genuinely, you can. Mm, and being a queen has also, as I said, many responsibilities. You also got to make your king feel like a king. It's a two-sided thing. But of course, at the end of the day, it starts from the man because the woman is a reflection of her man always.
Beautiful, beautifully put. Okay, I got two directions that I want to go here. I want to talk with you about your relationship with Greg, the last podcast guest that I had.
Okay.
So I'm going to tease that, but first I want to bring up. We've been talking a lot about cooking and femininity and what it means to be a woman and a queen. But I know that you also are a very active and athletic person yourself. And I heard from Greg that you were a nationally ranked swimmer. So that's something that's really interesting to me. I'd love to hear about your history with swimming, what that experience was like, and what you learned from going to war, going to battle, all around, your world, swimming in pools and racing people. Let us know what that experience has taught you.
Oh, swimming. Swimming is a very tough sport. I have done swimming for many, many, many years. First of all, it takes a lot of discipline. You have to do it consistently every single day. If you just miss 2 days in a row, you would feel it in the next practice.
Mm.
It's a very heavy sport. And I know even like professional runners, when they go in the pool, they're half-ass dead after swimming 200 meters. Swimming is a totally different sport compared to other sports. Like it's like you cannot compare anything to swimming. Like swimming is just so on its own. You
Mm.
can compare wrestling to boxing in some way. You can compare yeah, you get the point. You can
Yeah,
compare
basketball to football,
you can
sure, yeah.
compare soccer to rugby. You can compare those two,
Mhm.
but swimming is just so on its own.
Yeah.
It's a different type of pain. You're swallowing water. You genuinely cannot breathe. So one thing is like when you're running, at least you're inhaling oxygen. Yeah, you feel like you cannot breathe, but you're inhaling oxygen. Like
Mm.
when swimming, God knows how many liters of like water, like I have swallowed in my life.
Mm.
Um, it takes it's so back to the question again. I felt like I was falling out. I'm sorry. Um, First of all, it takes a lot of discipline. It taught me so much discipline. It taught me that if you are not consistent with your work, with your empire, with your kingdom, it will fall off.
Mm.
And you must be tough because when you are doing sports, it is a competition. It genuinely is a competition, and it affects you or your ego so much if you can't win,
Mm.
especially when you're doing a sport like that or like MMA where you are working out so consistently every day for weeks/months for certain competitions. It's so much build up, it's so much tension, and it's so easy to get disqualified in swimming. If you just jump a little bit before, you're you're cooked.
Yeah.
It's so easy. If you just don't do the turn right, you lose, because you can literally lose with one, like 0.1 seconds. It's so easy to just fall down to second place.
Yeah.
So goddamn easy. So much hard work, and it's so difficult to win.
Mm.
And it was so much mental pressure. You was
Yeah.
forced, you had to go in ice baths. They didn't care if you were a 17-year-old little girl. No, who cares about that? Who cares? Oh, your stomach is hurting. Who cares? You tired? Who cares? Do you have an exam? Who cares? Nobody cares. I was swimming Monday to Friday, only off Saturday, and back again. No,
Mm.
sorry. I was doing Monday to Saturday and off Sunday. So I was swimming from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday, and morning practice at 6 a.m. to 11 for years. And it was so tough because I was a straight A student on top of that. So I was going to school from 8:30 to 2, coming home around 2:30, can do my homework and eat some food, straight to swimming practice. I was raised very like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Disciplined, regimented.
very disciplined. So now the way it's affected me now in my daily life is that I don't do swimming anymore. Um, I used to do lifting for a time, but now I'm doing more like Pilates. It suits me better after some back surgeries and stuff like that. But the way it affected my brain is that I find lack of discipline so unattractive. Now I am at that point where I have experienced higher level of discipline. I mean, compared to others, again, I probably haven't, but I have experienced such strict rules. I cannot eat XYZ. I
Hmm.
can I cannot go to that event or that thing because now I had swimming practice and I had competition this week, right?
Yep.
So if I am just having a conversation, let's say with the opposite gender, it happens a lot on spaces and stuff. We are always, mixed genders, and I say, yeah, but just do that, and he goes, nah, I don't have the energy. I don't like to work out. Oh God.
Okay.
I feel like my stomach just turns.
Yes.
It gives me so much ick because what if I hypothetically have more testosterone than this man?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
for
in a
real.
hypothetical world, what if?
Well, you have this example in your life of strict discipline and consequences of it. If you fell off, again, so many factors are involved in this. Showing up to practice every single day, working your absolute hardest, and as you said, both physically and mentally, right? Physically, completely draining yourself. As you said, swimming is one of the most full body, just you're in water in a whole new environment. It's a completely different thing for your body. So training and disciplining your body, and then the mental emotional side of it. I'm sure there's so many times that you were like, I just want to give up. I just want to throw in the towel. But you had yourself, you had your family's reputation, the whole deal, all this work that you've done to get up to this point. And so I'm sure you found this. I'm sure you know David Goggins and
Of
Jocko
course,
Willing. Yeah,
yeah, they're
you, they
yeah.
always talk about finding that other gear. Like you just go to a different place where you're just like, well, it's not an option to give up right now. So I'm going to figure out a way to push through this. It's a very valuable thing. It's something I've had in my life. I did martial arts for 12 years and I would fight. And yeah, it's a whole nother side of my story. I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, there's times when, I felt like giving up 15 minutes into a 2 hour, practice or training regimen. And I go, okay, well, if I give up now, first off, all the work I've done up to this point is going to feel like it was for nothing. And
Yeah.
then if I start half-assing it, when I step into the ring and I face another person, they're going to beat my ass. And I'm going to know it's my fault that they beat my ass because I didn't work as hard as I could when I was in practice, right? So you have all of that. I this is something I want to find for sure for my daughters, and I definitely want to find I encourage all men to find something that forces you to find that second gear, that forces you to find that place where you go, you know what? There's no place. I don't want to be here. I'd rather be anywhere else in the fucking world, but I'm here and I'm putting in the work regardless of how I feel about it. And that's truly what discipline is. And it sounds like that's what swimming gave you, is it showed you that you can find that place, you can find that gear, and I'm sure it's translated to other parts of your life. um, Speaking of something that, again, Greg, we're going to get to him. Greg asked me to talk with you about is, I know that you are a very ambitious, studious woman, entrepreneur, and you have a friend, he mentioned to me, Isha, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Say it one more time.
Aisha.
Isha, that
I,
you're starting a
Aisha.
AI Aisha, there we go, even better. Aisha crypto company with. So I bet that all those years of showing up to swimming practice and going to competitions helped to frame your mindset to be able to do something that's very scary for any young woman anywhere in the world to do, which is start a company. So talk to me a little bit about your friend, your relationship with her.
My relationship with Aisha. Me and Aisha, we have been inseparable for 7 years now.
Hmm.
Our friendship um started our friendship started in a very funny way, actually.
Okay.
So Aisha is so on this scale thing, she's on left and I'm on right. I'm not talking about politics right now.
Hmm.
So Aisha studied physics and mathematic engineering, and I studied law. So we're on the each of that line. We are so similar but so different at the same time. So back to how we got to know each other. Aisha was actually my math teacher.
Oh.
She wasn't my main teacher. She was the teacher's assistant. Is only 3 years. She's only 3 years older than me, but I went to a private school, and the principal of that private school really liked Aisha because she is literally a genius. She is. She can calculate anything in her head. She is a genius, absolutely.
Oh.
I honor her with my life. And I wasn't good at math at all during high school. I was straight A student in history, Norwegian, English, literature, psychology, and all those other concepts.
Hmm.
I can talk, I can write, but just math just didn't work with me during those years. And I was talking to Aisha. I said, I want to get into law school. And I, I I cannot get in if I don't get at least a decent grade in math, because you need to have your shit straight. It's very
Mm.
strict. So on the final exam, Aisha helped me cheat on the final math exam.
Nice. There we go. That'll form a long-term bond right there.
So I don't know what it is in American measurements, because we go from 1 to 6 when it comes to grades, but I got a 4, so I think it's maybe a C.
See, yeah, it's passing.
Yeah, and I got into law school.
Boom.
Boom, master's degree program, and I was like, sister, you have my loyalty for life.
We're allies now.
If you need a liver, I will give you my liver. No second questions. If anything happens to you, you call me. And she would never done it if we didn't get along so well, because we
Of
met each
course.
other in February and this exam was in late May. So we clicked instantly. We were like two firecrackers, and we just
Mhm.
like found each other. Just like talking about Aisha, I just lit up.
Yeah.
Like um I have done traveling with Aisha. We have lived together, and now we're doing business together. We have known each other for more than 7 years. So that friendship is close. Like there's nothing that can get in me and Aisha's way except death. I'm so biased that in a hypothetical world, I'm not a naive person, but in a hypothetical world, if someone was like, Aisha did X, Y, and Z, and that would, maybe hurt me, like let's say she backstabbed me or something like that, I'm like, no, it's not true. Never believe it. I'm like, mm-mm. And if they even show me video footage, I'm like, yeah, they cloned her. But my Aisha would never. Mm-mm. I don't buy it. I do not buy it.
I love
Never.
it. When you find those few ride or die, like real ones in your lifetime, it's so valuable. I have a handful, I can count them on one hand of brothers that I'm in the same boat with. It's ride or die. I would, same situation. If somebody said that they backstab me or they whatever, I'd be like, I'm gonna need like absolute proof because I don't, you just know things in your mind, and then shit like in your heart and your soul. And I know in my heart and my soul, I got a few brothers for life, right? And I see in your telling, I see in your face and the way that you light up about your friend Aisha that she's one of those. And so first off, again, God bless. It's so beautiful that you found that in this lifetime. Treasure that relationship as much as you can, as I see you already doing. And thank you for sharing that with us. I'm really glad that I brought her up because that was really cool to see that loving side of you.
Like I seem so serious and so harsh sometimes. Like, yes, you should be a man up. I say it so quickly, like, yeah, stop being a whore. I'm so like, but when I talk about Aisha, I'm like, Aisha, man, that's my Aisha.
It
That's
makes you
my
soft.
sister. Like, yeah, she is my soft spot. And I never had a sister. I always wanted one. Only have brothers, right?
Hmm.
So like she is my sister, and she calls my dad for dad. So I
Mm.
call my dad for Baba. She calls my dad for Baba. You know what my dad calls her? It's so funny. So my dad. So for those that don't know, Aisha is Somali. So she is East African ethnically.
Hmm.
And my dad calls her for oh, when you say it in English it sounds bad, but it's not bad in Turkish or in Russian or in Norwegian.
Okay.
But he calls like my dark daughter, like my
I love it.
so when you say it in Turkish it's like kara kızım, which literally means just like my black daughter, my dark daughter. But
Hmm.
like it's so lovely because like they call each other father and daughter because we are
Oh,
little, we are like this.
yeah.
And I feel like the way I am with my dad, like when I'm so, when he's so pissed, then he can literally kill anyone and I can like call him down. Aisha is that to me.
Oh,
I can be furious. I can be like, yeah, now I'm gonna kill someone. Now I will break someone's ribbon. And Aisha can be like, no, you don't. Let's do something. And I'm standing there holding my best to not, lose my composure. But she just managed to make me laugh every single time. Like she is such a blessing from God to me. I feel like
mm,
I went through so much stuff growing up to be blessed with my sister.
yeah.
I was, I had to go through bullying. I had to go through people spreading false rumors about me. I had to go through teachers being very unfair and stuff like that to be blessed with a sister for life. She is genuinely what, you know, 10-year-old Elif prayed for. And I will protect Aisha with my life. And
Mm,
I'm at this point where like we even talked about it because she was like, if she gets, dark skinned kids and I get light skinned kids, which will probably most likely happen. I mean, you never know with life, but
yeah.
stereotypical. We're just going to be like, yeah, that is your biological cousin. You're just like puppets, Some puppets comes out white, some puppets comes out green. You know how kittens and dogs just have the same parents but just comes out in different colors. Yeah, that's you. That is
Yeah.
our life. I'm going to tell our kids.
I love it. I love what you shared there. I resonate with it a lot of all the struggles you had to go through in your life to be able to earn a spiritual sister like this. I resonate with that so much. I all of my handful of spiritual brothers, it's because we both went through hell in our own little journeys in our own little life. I grew up without a dad. My biological dad took off when I was young, and it's funny that basically all my brothers have a similar situation. Either their dad passed away when they were very young, or they took off. They were a piece of shit and took off. And it's one of those things where it's like when I meet somebody and they say that, there's like this just there's so much just you don't even have to say. Like so much of the work is already done for you. Like okay, we get each other in a way that that we don't even have to really dive into, and we can skip a lot of the bullshit and get right into like being real. Like life is fucking hard, and the whole like as a man trying to figure out how to be a man without that role model and that difficult struggle that it takes. And in a lot of ways I've learned so much about being a man and being a father from these spiritual brothers that have been figuring out on the fly the same. And so I love, it's one of my favorite things to do is to hear somebody talk about that real deep spiritual sisterhood, spiritual brotherhood, because I get it. And it's one of the most beautiful things in life. I really appreciate you sharing your relationship with her.
Genuinely, thank you so much for sharing your story with me too, Nick. I highly appreciate the trust. Much respect. I honor you for genuinely being this great man for your woman and for your beautiful daughters. Because when you have a tough childhood growing up, here's the thing: you cannot choose your parents,
Yeah.
but you choose the parent that you want to give to your kids. And that
Beautiful.
goes taking accountability over itself, like yourself. Like, I'm going to be a good father. And also, I will give my kids a good mother as well, too. Like, choosing your partner is also
Yes.
very, and that's what I also would recommend to everyone listening to this podcast. it's very important to heal yourself and don't bleed on people that didn't cut you.
Mm,
That's what we see very often, that people go through a lot of traumas, someone else cut them, but they bleed on the wrong people. So it goes in generations
yes.
where you hurt your kids and your kids hurt their kids, and it just goes on and on and on and on. That's a very normal phenomenon, and it destroys the soul. That's why we have so many criminals. Of course, there's other factories to that too, but my dad always told me that things back in the days, people had trust for each other. So he was telling me, like, yeah, let's say the local grocery store, right? Let's say you didn't have enough money to pay for groceries that day. You were allowed to go and get your groceries, and he would just write down your name and your phone number, and you would just come 2 days afterwards and pay what, like, your remaining bill. People had trust for each other. We had a society of trust.
Yeah.
And that comes from so many different factors. I believe spirituality is a thing, that when people are scared of something bigger than themselves, um, people usually act more right,
Yeah.
because um, you're genuinely scared to get punished. Like, not on, so yeah, okay, let's say the cops didn't caught you, but if you're so scared of going to hell, you will act more right. This is just an objective truth. I'm not saying that people should be forced into stuff necessarily, even though they should be sometimes. But things were so much more different when we also had much more masculine men in the society. So back in days, if you didn't have a father, your local barber would still be a masculine man, and
Mm-hmm.
the man that worked at the bank will be a masculine man, or the teacher will be a masculine man, or the one working in the grocery store will be a masculine man.
Yeah. A coach for a sports team. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's like you have to look for these guys. You
Yes.
have to genuinely go to a sports club, and maybe their trainer is one,
Mm,
and that's it. But that used to be an average uncle on the streets in the in the Middle East or in Caucasus in the like 80s and
yes.
90s. That was the average man. The average man working at, I don't know, XYZ store. The average man, the average truck driver, the average dad. And now it's a flex if you have a father figure like that, or it's a flex if you find a man like that. And the same goes for the women. Like, the average woman was elegant, the average woman was grounded, the average woman was non-promiscuous and feminine. But now it's so difficult to find them. I remember when I was in high school, I remember this so well. There were this one girl in my class. We used to be friends during those times, but I was a little bit distant. Classmates. We were like classmates. And she was dating this guy. And I said, but why are you dating him? Like, you won't marry him. And she started to laugh. So we were like sitting in this little room with a bunch of people. We were all friends. And she was like, guys, listen to Elif. You know what? Just what she said. And I was like, hey, yo, what's up? And I'm confused. She was like, she said, why are you dating X when you're not going to marry him? And everyone started to laugh at me. I, I wasn't necessarily like offended. I was just so confused. I was like, is this funny? You're wasting your time and energy and your soul to be with a man
Yeah.
you cannot be with.
The joke's on her ultimately. The joke's
Yeah,
on
it's
everybody that's laughing. Yes.
fucking her. Yeah, genuinely. I mean, we're literally 19 at this point.
Mhm.
It's a couple of years ago now. But when I look back today now, I'm like, I cannot believe I was literally, you know, quote, humiliated to say something so I don't even know how to put words in it, to say something so normal for the last generation, or like for my dad's generation. This was
Yeah.
the average thing to do. You don't go out and date unless you see some good potential in it. But I believe things has changed. But I also, as I said earlier in this podcast, you attract what you are. So if you are a good woman, you will attract a good man, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Always.
agree. So, to that point, we've been teasing this for a while. Speaking of masculine men and the real ones, because I know that you have a very sensitive bullshit detector. You can pick out the high testosterone guys from the low testosterone guys, the kings from the boys. Tell me about how you met Greg Lunt and what your first impressions were of him and what he's meant for you. I think you only have known him for maybe a month or not that long.
Yeah,
What your
yeah.
what your relationship has been with him on X, and just how you see him as he's a friend of the podcast and a friend of mine. So I'd love to hear the story of how you guys met.
Yes, of course. Greg is like my mentor. He
Mm.
is a man that I respect a lot. I would say he goes under friend, like absolutely, like he is a good friend of mine now. I go to Greg to seek advice, to talk to him, and we have a lot of ideas in common, which I value a lot. I like to have people with the same values and views in my circle. I met Greg on a space. So this was a little bit funny because I just woke up that day and I was scrolling on X and I saw Zine being on this space. And me and Zine also are, ex friends.
Yeah,
Twitter.
me too.
It
Zine's
sounds
cool.
so it sounds so weird to say ex friends because it
I
gives
know.
like a totally different
Yeah.
meaning. But so I was like, let me just go and say hi to these people. And I saw it was a space, with also women as well. So I felt much more comfortable joining. If it was like only men, I would be hesitant and probably not join at all. But I saw it was females in there and people were speaking. So I just joined to listen. I didn't expect to even speak because it was literally 133 listeners in that space.
Mm, mm.
It was like Greg was the host. And Zine was like, "Oh, Elif is here. Greg, Elif is fiery, or she has opinions." He said something like that. I'm so sorry, Zine, if you don't approve what I just said, but you said at least something with me having opinions. And he said base. I appreciate that. And I was like, okay, let's get her on speaker. So put me on, and I have a morning voice, low key like this, because I'm a little bit sixes or similar. And Zine asks, "So Elif, what are your views on?" I don't remember the topic. It was something, and I didn't hesitate. I shot that cannon right there and then.
I believe it.
I
I've
shut
heard you on Spaces. I believe
off.
it.
Yeah, I didn't hesitate. I said, "I find it so disgusting," and started to rant. And Greg was like laughing his ass off. And then I started to talk about hardcore feminism and red pill and stuff like that. And then Greg started talking about his Telegram group. And I said, "No, let me just join his Telegram group." Like, fuck yeah. So I did. And Greg DM'd me on Telegram and was like, "Yo, you're so based." I was like, "Thank you." And I mean, his first words were actually, "You're so amazing." And I was like, "Wow, thank you. Appreciate that." And he was like, "Would you like to be one of, because Greg does his spaces. That's
Mhm.
actually a part of his brand where he puts a lot of effort and energy into his spaces and brands, and you can tell Greg's spaces is so different from other
Yes.
spaces.
It's a notch above everything else I've found.
Genuinely so well made, so high quality, and the panelists are always so based, and
Yes.
people respect each other. I have been in spaces where someone asks a question and you start to answer and they don't agree with you. So they start to speak over you like in that moment
Mm-hmm.
without listening. But it's not like that in Greg's spaces. People respect Greg. And he asked if I want to be one of his panelists, like primary panelists in the upcoming louder spaces, because he appreciated that me as a woman could uh, speak and say the opinions that I have, which is very aligned with traditional and cultural values. And I was honored. I said, yeah, sure, it would be my pleasure being in space with good people um, that I like to talk to, with topics that I like to discuss. And it's also, I also would like to grow on X too. So I found it as a very good all-in-one. Absolutely. Yeah. And we just hit it off from there. I got to know Greg's friends, Rachel, for example, lovely lady, Tommy, very Tommy is also very good man. You and
Tommy is based. Yeah, he's been on the
yeah,
podcast. He's one of my favorite
exactly.
dudes.
He is great. Tommy is also really great. And I really appreciate that. And Greg has been such a huge help for me in many different ways. He has helped me grow my brand a lot. We discuss a lot of my topics and tweets. So he is genuinely like my mentor. I call him my manager all the time. He's low key my manager. If Greg tells me to post, because I can come up with ideas. And he has this one thing that he does in spaces and in private conversations. I am saying something, and he's always like, tweet that. That's the tweet. It's a tweet right there. You probably heard it yourself,
Oh
but
yes.
he
And
says
he's
this.
right a lot of the time. That you come up with just off the dome these super fiery tweets, which I'm envious of. I'm still learning the art form of tweeting. I still can't keep my ideas that well into 280 characters. I'm really into the long form stuff like this podcast. We're already over an hour. We've been going for a while here, but most of my stuff on X is the long forms does really well. So I appreciate a lot. I have a lot to learn from you and Greg of like just those fiery, compact little one sentence, two sentence ideas that you guys could just come up with in a space. I'm in awe.
It's so interesting because I'm very new to Twitter myself. I have used Twitter like actively for probably 10 months. So I haven't been on Twitter like a very long time myself. But like, yeah, when Greg says tweet it, I tweet it. And it always goes viral every single
Yes.
freaking time. So
Yes.
I do actually put people like Greg very high up, uh, people that I value because I trust their knowledge, I trust their lead. Um, the same way, for example, when it comes to Aisha, we're doing, crypto stuff together. I've been in it for a while myself, but Aisha is the master of this. And when
Mm.
Aisha says, no, we shouldn't do that, we should do this instead, I trust her lead. And having people like that and also be someone like that myself, that is something that I value a lot, man or woman, genuinely. So yeah.
Okay, so Elif, I think we've gone hour and 20 at this point, which is already, I know normally try to keep these to an hour, but you just been going so well. I still have a list of questions to ask you. So we got a couple of things. Give me 1 second. Babe, you want to cook? No? Okay. All right. Everything okay? Okay. I'm going to give me like 20 more minutes, okay? All right. Okay. I want to see if she wanted to cook. I could maybe mute the mic, but okay.
I'm so sorry I've been talking so much. You must be comfortable with stopping me, Nick.
Don't apologize for talking too much on a podcast and dropping all this fire and all this entertainment. You're doing your job amazingly. You're making it really easy on me. I just gotta cue you up with a little question, and then you just drop nothing but fire for 10 minutes straight. Okay, so I have a list of things. We may have to do a part two to do this justice. I think.
We can. I am very down. So please,
Okay,
my
cool.
pleasure.
Okay. But I gotta hit you with my usual laughing Stoic Buddha questions. So we're gonna get a little bit into some Stoicism, some
Oh,
Buddhism and spirituality, which we've talked about a little bit already, and finish it up with some laughs. So I'm gonna start you with this. I don't know how familiar you are with Stoic philosophy. It's a cornerstone of my life. It's something that I use to um, a lot of the things we've been talking about, to be a responsible man, to be a leader, to be in control of my emotions and letting them, instead of letting them be in control of me. And there's a lot of ideas, ancient wisdom that comes from some of the great leaders of ancient Greece and ancient Rome, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus, that I use to guide my life. And so the Stoic question that I like to ask all of my guests, and I'm really interested to hear your answer on this, especially because you're younger, is this. I want you to imagine that you've lived a full life. I'm going to say you're 100 years old and you're laying on your deathbed. You're looking back over the life that you've lived. What kind of life will you have hoped you've lived so that you have minimized regrets? You're proud of the lifetime that you've just completed. And what kind of things are you doing today to make that outcome as possible and probable as possible?
having my own family, um, a very loving, caring, providing husband, and healthy, beautiful kids with strong mentality, mindset, and a good heart,
Mm,
where we have unlimited trust and loyalty to each other, like a very strong family bond. Like the only thing that could get in our way is genuinely death.
mm.
And that's something I value a lot. Um,
I feel it.
and I also like to experience the greater things in life. So traveling all over the world, being able, live an upper class lifestyle, nice houses, vacations, cars, whatever. I also have like the materialistic things, but I also value nature a lot. I grew up in Norway. We have beautiful nature here. So I also have that side to me that is like, I just want to have horses and ride on horses, like have my own horse. Literally.
I know a girl like that that really wants to have a horse. That
Yeah,
loves horses.
I love horses.
You and
And
my girlfriend could share that in common.
yeah, you see, it's the genes, man. It's the genes. Yeah, we cannot fight it. It's just so implemented in our genetics. And just like
I hope you have many beautiful, powerful horses in your lifetime.
I'm good with one. I can have my own horse, and if the kids and husband wants to have theirs, they can have theirs. But I think I'm a good with like one, and just very close with that horse. Like that's my horse. Like we go to
Mm,
work together if we have to. Horse. And I also would love to live a life where people come up to me and they have done great things in their lives and they compliment, say that I did it because of you.
mm,
Having good influence on people means the world to me. And even though I'm just 22 years old, I have personally experienced people coming up to me and thanking me, saying, "You changed my mentality so much. You have helped me. I started cooking because of you. I broke up with that man because of you," like stuff like
mm,
that. And it made me so emotional. If I, in somehow, some way, manage to influence you for the better, I am honored.
yeah.
I am so thankful because I do content creation and stuff like that, but my niche has never been, beauty or music and stuff like that, but I am more going in that tougher direction, which is mindset and traditionalism. And that is a tougher niche because people are going to have cognitive dissonance back and forth. You have to deal with um, on a deeper surface level, but the outcome is so worth it. So that will mean a lot to me. Having my kids and grandkids being healthy, loving them loving me, and having Aisha's family and their kids nearby me. And we're just, happy families that experience the greater things in life together. And I will be absolutely fulfilled. Of course, with my parents and my brothers too, obviously, but I
Yeah.
know that for sure that they want to live here, and me and Aisha, we want to live abroad. So I have already like programmed my mind a little bit to accept my faith in I probably won't live in Norway.
Yeah.
So that's that at least. And also, I really do want to achieve great things in life. Of course, I am a woman of tradition, I want to be there with my kids and raise them and all that, but I would also highly value, you know, being me too, and
Yeah.
not just I want my husband to be great, this great man, but I also want to be that great woman that is also honored to be with him. Not
Yeah.
just his random wife, just this pretty woman that happened to marry this great man. I want to be this great man's great wife the same way I am my great dad's great daughter.
Mm.
So when I have been honored for being my dad's daughter all my life, that's also something I want to continue on in my marriage too.
Yeah. The way I like to say it, it sounds like you want to be the full expression of a leaf in every way possible.
Yes, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to be best. I want to be,
Yeah.
have the best shape that I can possibly be in. I want to have the strongest mentality that I can have, the most nurturing heart that I can, like every single thing at its maximum level.
Yeah.
All of it. Because
Yeah.
I believe in evolvement. You have to work on yourself every single day. You have to
Yeah.
be a better person, a better version of yourself every single day, no matter what.
Yeah, I
So,
love so much about your answer. I feel it. I really do. I see so much conviction and like a real foundation in what you're saying. Because a lot of people can say, well, family's most important to me. If at the end I have family, then I did it right. And that's sort of a weak, half-ass answer to me because it's the foundation of, again, bringing it back to being the full expression of a leaf. You fully realizing your potential, your truth, and being true to yourself and having the courage to do the hard work and take the risk that it takes to really express that full being of who you are. And then finding that attracting the bad motherfuckers in your lifetime, the badass man, having the kids that see this as an example and having, as you said, like a community of people that go, hey, I interacted with your content, right? I heard you speak. I heard this podcast. I read your writing or whatever. Or I got some sort of benefit from this business that you've created. And it inspired me to be more true to myself. It helped to give me the courage. And just, I know, like in my life, when somebody says, hey, I read your story and it got me, my handle on Twitter is right already, which is like, I procrastinated writing for a decade. I knew that it's something that I needed to do. I knew it was a calling in my soul, but I managed to bullshit myself, tell myself I was too busy until one day I said, enough's enough. I'm going to sit my ass down and I'm going to write every damn day. And I've done it now for over 2 years straight to the point where if I don't write, it's like a day without a shower. It's like a day without water. Like I have to fucking write, right? And that was a transformation that I personally went through, and I expressed that in my writing. And every single time somebody comes up to me, they're like, you know what? I procrastinated writing for 25 years, and I read this piece, and now I've written every day for 2 months. You've changed my life, and I'm just like, that's all the payment I ever need. It's just to hear that, the work that I did had some sort of effect on another human being. And then hopefully that ripples out, right? In like a positive virus to so many other people in the world. And so it sounds like you are on a very similar mission yourself. And I love to hear that. It seems like you really got your head straight at such a young age on, the end goal of this lifetime that you're living.
I would say I'm so happy to hear that, Nick. genuinely. It means so much for someone, or it means so much to someone when you finally decide to do something that you've been wanting to do for such a long time, and you get praised and honored and appreciated for it.
Oh yeah.
It means the world. Because I had I used to do a little bit cooking content in 2020, and everyone was like, please make a YouTube channel. Because what I used to do was I used to have a Snapchat account back in days where I used to post my food videos and how I made them. And people were like watching them and commenting, please make a YouTube channel, please make a TikTok. And I've been procrastinating it for such a long time. And I recently started doing it, and I've been getting so much good feedbacks on it. And I'm working on my cookbook. It's an ebook, completely free, that I will launch very soon because
Nice.
someone asked for it. And I feel so honored. Like now I just want to do more. And now I just feel stupid for not doing it earlier. Like, why
Yeah.
did I even doubt myself? Why did I even doubt my abilities as a person? I
Hmm.
freaking got this.
Yes.
Some people are just gifted from their childhoods. Some people, they just feel it. When I was a kid, I always felt like I was destined for greatness. I had this feeling, I had this vision of me having a big network and a loving family, and helping so many people. I always felt like that, and I don't know why. So for some people, I probably even sound like schizophrenic or like delusional.
I
But
can relate.
I genuinely had dreams where I saw myself speaking on stages
Mm.
and having public interviews, talking to people talking to me, telling me about their lives and stuff like that, like being someone. Maybe it's
Yeah.
literally the universe, God showing me what I have already done in an alternative universe, show
Mm.
me what I already accomplish in the future. You never know with life, and as long as you have that mindset that you can accomplish everything that you want in life, as long as you do an honest real work with God in your heart, you are unstoppable. You can
Yes.
do it. So
So
I,
if you're watching this podcast right now or listening to it and you're not fired up to like go live your best life and fucking dominate this thing by the time you're done listening to it leave, there's something wrong with you. You need to get a soul checkup. Um, I'm pumped up. I know after this podcast, I'm gonna go write some of the best shit I've ever written in my life.
let's go. Please, Nick, do it. If you don't dominate your life, other people will dominate it for you.
100.
So pick your dominance.
That's it. Goddamn. Okay, Elif. So we really hit the stoic answer super solid. That was one of the most
Oh,
inspirational answers I've ever got. So we're gonna go out a little bit broader now. I'm gonna ask one of the biggest questions that I ever ask on this podcast, or one of the biggest questions that can be asked. So we just really got deep into the human side of things, what it means to, live a good human life. And I want to take it to the spiritual side, to the soul side, and ask you this. What is this that we're in right now, this experience, reality? How do you try to frame not just who you are as a person, but who you are as a conscious spiritual being?
I am the creator of my reality. I am the one writing the rules in this reality. I chose this reality. I chose this life. I chose this path. I chose talking to you. I chose this dress. I chose this lip liner that I've been holding in my hand like an hour. Every single thing that has happened to me in my life, good and bad,
Hmm.
sad and disgusting, traumatic or non-traumatic, it is my fault. It is. And I'm honored to say it. I
Hmm.
have consciously or subconsciously made one decision that resulted to that specific outcome. Maybe I turned left instead of right. That one moment. Maybe I decided to take that phone call on a random Tuesday at 3 p.m. and that resulted to XYZ. Maybe I was late to that appointment, but with the purpose of not experiencing XYZ. Every single thing that I do, it is because of me. Because what many people don't understand is that, yes, of course, we have destiny. I get it. But don't we also have free will? We are humans. We are not angels. So no matter what kind of religion you believe in, if you're, into spirituality, Christian or Muslim, you believe in angels and humans. Angels, they are angels. Yes, they live in heaven, but they have obligations and they have strict rules that they must follow. They don't have free will. They're obligated to do X, Y, and Z. But us humans, that's why we have good and bad. So yeah, you can choose to do something, but everything is yin and yang. It will have a consequence. That's it. So you have the free will if you want to. You have free will. But your actions will have consequences. Those consequences can be good and bad. That's up to you and based upon your actions. So the way I view this reality is a product, is a result of my mindset and of my soul. I am around high quality people because I'm a high quality person. I'm around highly disciplined people because I'm a disciplined person. I am probably one of the most annoying, nagging, bratty women to an undisciplined, unconfident person. But for someone that is in tune within themselves, I am energetic and I am motivating and I'm funny. This is not descriptions I'm making of myself. This is what people in big masses have told me across the world in any age. Yes. And that's the result of having a tough character. People either love you or they hate you. It's nothing in between. And that's how fire works, right? If you know how to play with fire, it gives you heat, gives you life. You can cook delicious food on it. But if you don't know how to play with fire, you have a forest burning, right? And when people get in discussions with me, and I can say this, I study law. I have read many books about the art of argumentation and discussion and stuff like that. When I'm discussing with someone, I am professional. I don't go and attack someone's looks or character and stuff like that. I genuinely keep it professional. And if you yet still get offended and find it so difficult to discuss with me, don't talk to me. Don't play with fire if you can't handle the heat. That's how I view it.
Wow, goddamn. So excellent answer. What I was seeing throughout is another topic we've brought up a lot, kind of has been a through line throughout, is responsibility. It seems like you approach your spiritual life with ultimate responsibility, right? Yeah,
100% everything is my fault.
You're creating your reality personally. You're attracting the kind of people that you are being. Like attracts like, and you're taking responsibility for the fact that I am fire, and that means that a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle it. They're going to get burnt. But if those that can handle it, that can cultivate it, you can create beautiful things. You can burn up a lot of bullshit. You can use it to cook nourishing, delicious food, all those beautiful metaphors that you were using. And it made me think just selfishly throughout that I do agree that you are a very powerful, raging fire. And so I got to be at some good place in my life that I've been able to handle this conversation so well and handle the heat, because I've been enjoying the hell out of it. It's actually been fueling me throughout. And as I said, I'm going to get off this podcast and go. I'm inspired to go do some of the best work I've ever done in my life after talking to you.
Let's go.
So
complete.
Very, very beautiful transformation for myself and hopefully for all the listeners that have been listening to this. If you can handle the heat, if you find yourself being a little exposed or a little vulnerable from all of this, maybe it's a sign that you need to tap into a little bit of your own fire and your own power, and stop bullshitting yourself. Take a little bit of responsibility for the life you're living.
Tell him, Nick. Tell him.
Right on, Elif. So, okay, so I like to finish with sort of a little palate cleanser because we do get really deep, and we got real deep and intense there at the end, which I love. But I like to always finish the podcast with the first word in the podcast name, laughing, Stoic Buddha. And I would like to pose to you, I'm sure you have a lot of examples. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you of a time that you've laughed really, really hard? Maybe there's tears rolling down your face. Maybe your abs hurt. Uncontrollable laughter. Anything that comes to mind. It can be personal, could be on X, could be watching a movie. Just tell us about a time that you've laughed really hard.
That is so interesting question because for many years I I had this stereotypical soldier lifestyle. It was school and swimming alone in a pool. I mean, you were swimming with people, but you're still alone. It's not like football, where you have teammates. It wasn't, but for like
Oh, there we go. There it is.
it's something with Aisha.
I knew it.
Woman, I swear on my existence. I know it's not good to swear, but that woman can she makes me laugh to a level where I cannot breathe. Like when I'm laughing, I don't even make a sound. It's like, because I cannot breathe. And it's because we are so similar and we can predict each other. So she's something like, yeah, it's because of that, right? And she looks at me because she knows she's guilty. Oh, she knows she's guilty. And I catch her in her guilt and I'm trying to be mad, but I cannot be mad. So now I'm just laughing my ass off. And I have this terrible, terrible, terrible coping mechanism, Nick. When shit gets serious, that's when I laugh.
We've talked about this, yes.
Oh, I hate. So I've been on the plane once. Okay, I fly a lot. I was not glad my dad spoiled me with a lot of vacations and Norwegian passport. Let's go. But there was one time I was on this plane and it was so bad weather outside. It was like lightning and rainstorm. Like the plane was chaotic. People started to scream and cry. People were hysterical because the plane was shaking so much. Like everyone was so scared. Don't you think I am laughing like a psychopath? Like I'm the villain making all this turbulence in this plane. Yeah.
The mastermind behind all the chaos.
I am literally laughing like I am Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I am laughing like I'm Loki, I'm losing it. I'm like, ha, ha, ha. I'm clapping, I'm holding my mouth, and I am doing the very best I can to keep my composure, but I cannot. You know what the problem is on top of that? Aisha is the same.
Oh.
So I think she's also holding herself to not laugh with me. So I'm like, I'm literally telling her, I'm like, shut up, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm trying to not die out of laughter right now. And this happened to me so often. So when I'm scared, I laugh. When I'm stressed, I laugh. When shit gets so tragic, I laugh. So it's so turbulence because I also laugh about like traumas and stuff like that. And I exact same thing. So so remember when our moms did that and like something so brutal and we just laugh about it, laugh for like minutes straight, and I'm like, oh, I can barely talk about it because it's just so not funny, but that's why it's so funny.
Well, you're in good company, Elif. I always thought I was the only weirdo that's like this. I have one friend in my life where we hear about tragedies. I'm talking somebody dying in a car accident, really bad shit. And he'll look at me and he'll kind of smirk and I'll be like, bro, don't. And he's like, you want to laugh, don't you? Like, don't fucking make me laugh. And we'll start losing it exactly like you and your friend. Where we'll be crying, laughing over the worst shit imaginable. And I don't know, it's a coping mechanism, whatever the fuck it is, but it's so healing, really. For me personally, it's like, man, if you can laugh at it, then whatever, it doesn't have you, right? And I had one time with this same friend, he always would say, if we ever end up going to a funeral together, we're fucked, bro. We have to sit in
Yeah,
the opposite ends of the church.
that's so true. Me and Asha also talked about that. I'm like, can never go to a funeral with you, girl. Never. Like, what do we even do? I have to put a sock in my mouth. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's so bad because my older brother, he's the opposite of me. He's so grounded. He's so like serious. He really feels into shit. So when shit, happen, he's there like, and I'm like in the background, he's like, and they lost it on me. He was like, Elif, it's not funny. And I'm like, no,
It just makes it
no,
worse.
no, it's fucking worse. And don't you think Aisha is also sitting there biting her fist like,
Of course.
it's so bad. It's so terrible.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, you guys aren't alone. You got at least one other weirdo that laughs at the worst tragedies possible in the world. So if we ever end up at a funeral together, the three of us, we're gonna have to definitely avoid eye contact because we're gonna all start busting
You
up.
know, it's so I damn, because I feel so bad for it too, because it looks like
Yeah.
like, enjoy it because people can never see me laugh more than what I do in serious situations.
Yeah.
It's so tragic. It's so god. Like, for example, Aisha, she used to live in Egypt. So she went through the whole Arabic Spring and the revolution and all that. And when we talk about it, we die out of laughter. We literally
Of course.
lose
Of
it.
course.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so tragic. It's so freaking tragic.
Yeah, I know. Well, I feel your pain, and just know that the next time you're laughing at a tragedy, there's another guy on the other end of the globe from you over here in California that's doing the same. And it's just it's the way we're built. It's our cross to bear.
Thank you, because it's only been me and Aisha so far. Like, no one in my family gets it. So it was so bad. Like, when I was in high school, people genuinely thought I was like bullying someone or bullying the
Hmm.
situation, or we were talking about Second World War and stuff like that. And I was bursting out of laughter. Like, I felt so bad because we visited Auschwitz in 10th grade with my class at
Hmm.
concentration camp in Germany. And I was biting myself, man. I was biting myself because they showed us so many videos about dead people and their bodies and stuff that happened. And some people are crying, and I'm literally there like,
God.
and I'm telling myself, if you lie, you're going to hell. Like, my humor, if I go to hell,
Uh-huh.
I, all the haram police can come after me now. But if I go to hell, it's because of my humor.
Yeah.
My humor will be my golden ticket on express wagon, whatever seat, first class ticket to
Yeah.
hell. I'll probably sit next to Stalin and Mao, bro. The things I laugh about.
Hey, and if you do, when you go to hell, you'll still be laughing because you'll still
God
be coping with the tragedy.
forbid, I don't want to go to hell. I'm a good human, but don't
You're done.
stop it.
Genuinely, you're not going to hell for feeling joy and laughing and trying to handle this really hard thing, which is called a human existence and all the suffering that goes along with it.
It's just so true.
That was awesome. That I think might be my favorite answer ever, actually, for the laughing portion, because I can relate to it so much. I've done 70 episodes and nobody's brought up the laughing at tragic events like you. So I feel a lot of simpatico here. I feel a lot of resonance.
Like, I'm the person to laugh if we end up in a car accident. I'm like, you see that flip though?
Just right away, just make a joke out of it.
Like, damn, you know, our car didn't even hesitate to dance on that road.
Yep. Yep. Right on. Okay, Alif, this has been a wonderful conversation in so many ways. This is one of the longest ones I've done in a while. I think we're coming up on 2 hours, and it was jam packed every moment of it. And I still have things on my list I need to talk to you about. So I'm gonna put you on the books for a part two, hopefully sometime soon. I know this first episode is going to be wildly successful. Everyone's gonna. By the way, this is your podcast premiere, right? This is your first time as a guest on a podcast.
This is my first podcast ever, and I did my podcast with Nick.
Bam. So, as I mentioned before on a space, when you get on Joe Rogan, when you get on all the big shot episodes, remember you started with the little guy. All right.
I will never ever forget anyone that's been there from the start,
Right
ever.
on. Right on. Total absolute pleasure talking with you. You're a very inspirational woman. I hope that my daughters get a little bit older and it's appropriate that they can watch this episode and learn about what it means to be a strong, independent, feminine woman that's really in touch with her soul and with her values. And this is a beautiful little time capsule for me that I'm gonna cherish and honor and share with the important people in my life. So thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing your heart and your soul with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I am very excited to see how your life turns out with your beautiful girl and your baby girls. Bless you and your family. I believe everything will work out for all of you, and I'm very excited for everyone's future.
Right on,
God
Leaf.
bless.
You're the realist. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this conversation, please hit the like button. If you want to watch more podcasts like this in the future, subscribe and hit the notification to be notified when they come up. If you want to keep up with me, I am on Twitter now every day at Write with a W already. Link to that will be in the description. If you want to check out my writing, I publish a newsletter every Friday through Substack. Link to that will also be in the description. I love you guys, and let's keep doing this together. Peace.